Buffalo Man has just ended his fight against court after battling the system for a couple years after his pet alligator was just seized from his home from 2024. Just recently, a new update just came out, and Tony, the owner of the alligator, had just announced that he has finally given up his battle against court to actually trying to own back Albert the alligator. Now, of course, Albert, if you guys have been following the story, obviously the media about it, you know, like in the public's eye, it's kind of divided on it. And for me personally, I'm actually kind of glad Albert was finally saved here, because after seeing some of the photographs of what Albert looked like when he was taken in, you know, by the Department of Fish and Wildlife, I could tell Albert was not really in good health here. Even though Tony, who had actually bought Albert at a reptile show in Ohio more than 30 years ago, when Albert was only a couple months old. And this is interesting too, believe it or not, shortly after Albert was apprehended by the Department of Environmental Conservation, Tony actually sued them after they met him at his house, actually with a warrant in his suburb of Hamburg. The officer sedated the 12-foot, 750-pound alligator and drove him away in a van. Albert, who lived in an indoor swimming pool, eventually ended up in a sanctuary in Texas. So, to this day, you guys, Albert now resides in an alligator farm in the state of Texas, where he has been living in, from what we've been hearing too lately, according to the vets there that work at that place, he is thriving there, and he has been doing really, really well. Caballero also sued over the state's denial of a license to keep Albert, but the 66-year-old said Thursday that the legal action had consumed his life for 2 years. With no quick end in sight, he decided last month that he couldn't deal with the exhausting battle anymore. So really, Tony was like battling the court system for about 2 years after Albert was seized. And according to Tony, and of course Tony actually had insisted that Albert was, in quote, just a big baby, who had never shown signs of aggression. He bought the alligator at an Ohio reptile show when it was 2 months old and considered him a emotional support animal. Tony has said he has not seen Albert since the animal was taken away, though he has seen photographs. He has stated already, claimed that he is not at peace, and he doesn't think he is going to be. And he is, for 2 years, he has been angry about this, fighting off and on with the courts, with the justice system on this. Well, I guess I shouldn't say justice system, more like with just, you know, the court system. But the thing is, you guys, is that alligators do not make great pets. They don't. And obviously, I think Tony, how old is he now? 66 years old. So over 30 years ago, he was in his like late 20s, early 30s. Personally, I don't think he realized how big an alligator can get. Because Albert, you guys, now is 12 foot long and he's like 750 pounds, so he's a big boy now. He is not a big baby, he's a big boy now. And an alligator that big, you guys, even at 12 foot long, it can do some serious damage if something were to go wrong. And of course, you guys notice, I'm sure in these photos here that showed Albert's health condition, he was, like I said, he was not in the best shape whatsoever. He's clearly blind in both eyes, and also he has been dealing with some spinal complications for quite some time. If he really did love Albert, I feel like he could have really done something about this. Like, if he really cared about Albert, and which he claims he has for the last 30 years, he clearly, I feel like he should have, like, noticed something was going on with Albert, especially once he was starting to go blind. I mean, I feel like there's a way he could have prevented that, possibly here. But also, not to mention too, his pet alligator spinal conditions as well, because that is just not something you normally see with an alligator in captivity. You don't see that very often, and normally one of the most common things you see that with an alligator means that there is... Alright, so judging by the photos here, this was taken like right before Albert was apprehended. He's seen right here sitting, just basking, next to his indoor swimming pool, which, I'm not gonna lie, the room is pretty nicely detailed, but looking at this though, this is just still, even the pool's not big enough for him. He definitely needs more space. Obviously, an alligator, especially being 12 foot long, for Albert's size, he definitely needs a much bigger body of water to swim in than that. The cost of living in the state of New York is pretty expensive, so I don't know, maybe that was the issue. But yeah, even zooming in on here on Albert's face, you guys, literally that is not what a healthy alligator should look like at all. Like, you can barely just see any of his teeth in his mouth at all, you guys. There's almost no teeth at all. So that is just, yeah, that's not right. So clearly, you in this photo, I can tell, and you probably can tell too, that something was definitely wrong with Albert here. And of course, like I said earlier too in the video, Albert was also blind in both eyes, and that's another health hazard right there for not just an alligator, but for any animals too, because it's very difficult for the animal to visually know where it's going. I mean, obviously, I'm sure the animal can hear, but let's say, for example, like, if somebody were to get in the pool with Albert, and again, being completely blind in both eyes, and if something or someone were to tap him like on his nose, there is the potential he could take a swing at that, you guys, because he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what's touching him. He can't see it. He could probably feel it, but he can't see it because he doesn't know what it is. Honestly, I mean, on one side, and it's crazy to me, you guys, I've noticed in a couple of like news station articles about this, I'm pretty surprised by the amount of some comments of people expressing their support for his owner, which, I mean, I'm not saying his owner is a bad guy. He's not like a horrible like abuser or anything, but I really think he in somewhat kind of neglected Albert here, because again, seeing Albert's health condition here, like, not only was Albert blind in both eyes, the only way for an alligator to, I gotta figure this out. How did he go blind? Okay, so really, I guess Albert's blindness in both of his eyes is attributed to health complications here. And according to our environmental officials have reported that the alligator had numerous health issues, including blindness in both eyes and spinal complications. Despite the alligator's blindness, the owner, Tony, denied the health issues and claimed that he treated the alligator better than most people take care of their kids. Yeah, I don't know about that, because, again, the alligator had spine issues here, and I guess it turned out, too, I actually saw a comment on one of those articles that somebody that is friends with a local vet tech in the Buffalo area actually got involved with this case, and they actually had discovered that they had found that apparently Albert was not being fed professionally, like not being provided with the right healthy supplements of food supplies, and it's very important that if you really do want to own a pet alligator, it is a huge responsibility, you guys. They don't stay tiny forever. Alligators get big, you guys. They can get 12, 13 feet long and over 1,000 pounds. And an alligator, once it gets that size, especially like up to Albert size, that's a high maintenance level right there. And the animal taking care of something that big in your own house is not really that simple. It's not. And again, according to the vet tech claim that Albert was not being properly fed in a healthy way. So, do I know? They didn't exactly specify what Tony was feeding him, so I don't know what it is, but clearly, yeah, Albert was not in good condition here. And the fact that there's people I've seen online saying that Tony deserves to have Albert back, that's a hot take. That's a pretty hot take right there. Even the environment that Albert was in beforehand, you guys, in Tony's care, there's a pretty good chance that Albert is probably going to only live for probably another maybe 5 years, if even that, in this setup here that I'm seeing. I don't see him living no more than 5 years in it. And Albert at the time was around 30 years old when he was apprehended. And I gotta tell you guys this. I don't know who this lady was, but I literally saw her comment online, kind of like expressing her support for the owner. And let me tell you guys, and I was being professional about it as well. I told her, like, if you actually read a little bit more of the background story about what Albert's health condition was, he was clearly blind in both eyes, and obviously, looking at the jawline too, Albert's jaws, everybody, that's not what a healthy alligator should look like. Yeah, see, this is what his jaws an alligator's jaws shouldn't look like, you guys. That's definitely not, that's clearly not a healthy alligator at all. But again, shout out to the Department of Conservation officers there for helping step in and try to get Albert a more healthy and sanitary environment. Now, my question is, everybody, is what are your guys' thoughts on this story? Do you think that Tony should receive Albert back, or do you think that Tony did the right thing by finally surrendering Albert finally into more professional care? What do you guys think about that?